And welcome to the East County Sports Report. I'm Ramon Scott, and I'm joined by Dave Dickens of EastCountySports.com. Dave, a special girls playoff edition of the East County Sports Report, talking open division semifinals with two members of the Christian High Lady Patriots, senior Allie Carreon and junior Serene Weckback. Dave, thank you so much for getting our special guest on the eve of the big game against the Cathedral Catholic Lady Dons.
You know, it's kind of funny that you were talking about the Dons. It's different sport, but I was actually this afternoon was down the street over at Granite Hills watching the Granite Hills Eagles play baseball up against the Cathedral Catholic Dons, and once again another athletic that Cathedral. I mean, what sport are they not talented in? But they were up 2-1, and we thought Granite Hills was gonna possibly pull an upset, and then they unfortunately ended up losing 5-2. But it was a pretty exciting game. But anytime you play the Cathedral, as you ladies know too, they're gonna give you 150%. So you got to bring your A game no matter what sport you're playing.
Yeah, ladies, we've lost to the Dons 4 straight times now. We got them twice last year, but in the playoffs in this exact same game, Allie. They got us 79-71, I think was the final there. I remember going to that game. Allie and Serene, tell me how we're going to turn around tomorrow night against Cathedral.
Well, we're gonna come out with high energy and have energy all 4 quarters and not let up and just stay aggressive and have high energy.
Yeah, I think this whole week we've been preparing for them, and we played them 4 times, like you said, and I feel like we're just ready to come out with revenge.
Now, Allie, I'm going to ask you, and I'm sure you were expecting it to come up at some point in time. How is the rotator? How is that going? Are we all healed up? Or are we ready to roll?
Yeah, we're all healed up. I'm ready.
Okay, because I know that I think it was in particular, you were going to rest, but then they decided to have you play against Otay Ranch back on the 28th. And you were just going to play that particular game. And then I think you took a couple more games off after that, La Jolla Country Day, and then maybe another game or two, or was it just La Jolla Country Day?
Yeah, and Sarah. I just wanted to see if my shoulder was good enough, but then it started to hurt again. So I just took a couple games off to let it heal.
Well, it couldn't have been hurting too much in the last game, Allie. It's a season high, 26 points in the victory against Westview. Serene, tell me why right now, we go up against Westview, a team that is ranked higher than us, seated a little bit higher than us. It seemed like I had made some suggestions that we kind of have fell a little bit short when reaching up to beat the teams that are ranked higher than us. We had those great wins in the preseason and the tournament season against out-of-state teams, but each time we bumped heads with some of the elite teams in the county. I'll even throw La Jolla Country Day in there. I know you guys would like to have gotten get a piece of them too, but finally we broke the hump. We broke through against Westview and in resounding fashion. Serene, what was the difference going up against Westview this time and going up against some of the other elite teams that we've lost to this season?
I think we all had our head in the game, and we stayed with high energy again, all 4 quarters. We didn't let up or have our energy drop after halftime, which is normally when we struggle as third quarter, making sure we match how we played in the first half. And I feel in Westview we definitely stayed with high energy and didn't let up no matter how high the score was.
Now, why is that been such a trend? You brought up a good point, Serene. You guys have had a trend of and that's only typical of this year, because last year we didn't have that same type of thing happening. We were pretty much all 4 quarters, and I mean exhausted at the end. But I mean, we went hard all 4 quarters. Is there any rhyme or reason to that? Did you guys talk about it, discuss it, kind of figure out how to overcome that? I'm sure Coach Carrington has harped. I don't want to use harped, but she's really drilled it into your head that we need to have the same intensity all 4 quarters, especially playing a team like Cathedral.
Right. I know a lot of us like get in our heads like if we like make a mistake or anything, or like if we get a bad call or something, and we just have to like learn to not let that get to our heads or affect like the way we play, and just stick to it.
No, now is that ever? I mean, have you ever let that? And this is either one of you can answer, or both of you can, one at a time. Has there ever been a particular venue, or let's say Cathedral, for example, when you're playing on their turf? Honestly, is it more of does it make it a lot tougher in your head in the past? We'll say we're thinking new now. We have a new way of thinking, but it typically had that haunted you in the past, being in that type of hostile environment, I'll say.
I would say I really personally I don't like let that affect me. Like I know like it's really like hostile and they have like a lot of fans that like cheer against us and root against us, but I feel like as long as we just come out and play and that we just don't let the crowd get to us, I feel like we play our game really well.
Yeah, I agree. And as long as like we play as a team and not individually.
Which is true, Ramon. I mean, I mean, I can definitely attest to that. I mean, for the most part, you guys stay pretty focused no matter where you're playing. Obviously, it is a whole different ball game, though, when you are playing at home. You do tend to, whether it be you or the boys team, actually, you tend to have a pretty good draw from the hometown crowd. And it can be pretty loud for the other team as well. But I was just wondering if that's ever been a concern, maybe even when you were a little younger, maybe 2 years ago. I'm sure Cathedral was a little bit more of a David and Goliath type thing early on in your careers. But now that you're more seasoned, I think that I could definitely see it that you guys don't let a lot of those little things rattle you. And I'm sure, and probably helps a lot too, playing with the Sparks in the off season as well, and kind of just keeping yourselves from getting rusty at all, and being able to play in so many different environments. When you say that, it definitely has a positive effect.
Yeah, I think Cal Sparks like helped all of us out. I just feel like since we played really high competition in the summer, it kind of like transitioned to Christian. So I feel like all of us were just ready for the hard competition that was ahead of us.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, Dave. Tomorrow's game notwithstanding, because we're going to go up there and we're going to beat the Dons. I mean, they've got ultra talented players, just like we do, with Brady and Navarro. But Christian's so well traveled that this team, and I think our other teams in San Diego County, are well equipped to handle the state playoffs. Of course, Christian will advance to the state playoffs by by determination of their open division classification. But let's worry about tomorrow's game. Allie, how are we going to stop Ice Brady tomorrow? She's been a thorn in our side, to say the least.
Well, we have two very strong bigs that stopped her last time. They held her down to about 8 points. So I feel like at practice we've been working really hard to defend her, or defend her. So I feel like as long as we just do what we executed at practice, I think we'll be just fine.
So Serene, but they also have Izzy and Johnson. How have they been able to be so successful over those last 4 games against us? They beat us, obviously, like I said, the 2 this year, the league games, the 2 games dating back to last year, 4 straight, but we did beat them the first 2 games last year. What have they done right to get by us in these last 2 games, these last 4 games?
Well, especially the last game, Izzy, I don't remember how many threes she made, but it was a lot. But like Allie said, at practice, we've adjusted like our defense and how we need to close out on the shooters and not leave them open no matter what.
And Ramon, that's one thing I wanted to comment on, and I don't want to beat a dead horse or anything, but Allie, Simone has talked about it with myself, and you and Simone have talked to me about it after some of the tournaments, and how much emphasis we've put on our defense this year as opposed to what we have done in the past, and that there's been more of a balance because of that. As a result, that you've probably won more games this year, wouldn't you say, as a result of you playing a lot tougher defense than you have in the past?
Yeah, I think so. I think at practice, like majority of our practice, we always work on defense. And I feel like they just implemented in our head that like defense is more important and we got to get more stops and force turnovers because then that will help us on the offensive side.
Yeah, and I'm sure, Serene, I'm sure you get the same thing, especially at the high post when it comes to defense, and I can hear it too a lot of the time too. Um, and that's one thing I do appreciate about Coach Carrington. You'll definitely hear what she wants to be done on the floor, and you can hear it too when it comes to defense in particular. She's very strict about that, with good reason, obviously. And another one of your teammates I wanted to bring up that's really improved on defense along with the two of you, like a complete 180 from last year, is Kristen Williams. I mean, she has been phenomenal with steals and a lot more blocks this year than she has in the past. I'm sure both of you can agree with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's we're when you leave, it's and Simone leaves, it's definitely going to be you guys are going to be well missed, but and we've talked about it before, but you're leaving the Patriots in good hands. There's going to be several talented players that carry the torch, and I think you could agree Kristen is going to be one of them, along with your partner and right next to you, that are definitely going to be able to take over, possibly as even captains.
Yeah, I think so. I think me and Simone have just tried to be great leaders and show them what they should do next year. And I know it's going to be hard at first, but I feel like I have faith in them that they'll be just fine.
Especially, and then I'll give it back to you, Ramon. One thing that I've noticed personally is, and you've seen it on the floor, you've seen it in the statistics, and I hope that's passed down to your teammates as well, is how humble you've been able to be, just yourself, Allie, as far as the assists are concerned. I mean, leading an assist is being humble, and hey, whoever I can kick it out to, whoever has a better shot, I'm going to kick it out to them, instead of what we've seen many players in the past, whether it be boys or girls basketball. No, I think I'm going to take the shot. You've been very humble where you're kicking it out to just about everybody. But in particular, Simone just happens to be there a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, with good reason. She has scored so many points in her career, and broken records. So it's definitely the I guess the security, you would say, too, of knowing that she's going to make that shot. And it's just like if you were going to make the shot yourself.
Mm-hmm. I just think me and Simone.
Go ahead.
Sorry. We always joke around, and we always say we're like a dynamic duo. Like me and her always know where we're at, like on the court, and it's easy for me to just throw her up the ball because I know she'll finish.
Yeah. And Simone, 20-point-a-game scorer, Allie. You're a 16 points per game scorer approximately, and you do so much on the court. Over 6.5 rebounds, 7 assists per game. Heading to UC Davis to continue your college basketball career after this, and you changed course, if you will. You were, I think, you had a previous commitment and switched to UC Davis. How did you end up deciding on Davis?
after talking with Coach Vicky and my parents and like praying about it, it was a better fit for me and my family. So I decided to make the change.
And did you want to share again? I know you shared it with me before, Allie, since we're on that topic too. You had mentioned, if you wanted to mention everybody else too, what you were going to major in as well at UC Davis?
Right now I'm not sure, but I want to head down the medical path. So
Sports medicine, maybe?
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, go to Davis, be a doctor. It's pretty much what you do when you go to
Yeah.
Davis. When you go to Davis. Anyways, Allie, the legacy that you two talk about, Simone and you have put forth, and leaving it in good hands with the players like Serene and Kristen and Coco. I think this program's in pretty good hands. Tell me about the path this Christian High program has come. I think it was a big moment for the program when Coach Carrington celebrated her 300th career victory. I mean, we know that she had most of those victories, when she was coaching at Horizon, sure. But for Christian High to land an elite coach like Coach Carrington and kind of bring her legacy that she built to a program that fit Christian High so well, it seemed like a great fit. How true is that?
I think it's 100% true. She definitely worked for her 300 wins. I think it's just a blessing to be a part of her 300th win and just having her as a coach and a mentor. And yeah.
And with that being said, what I've been meaning to ask Serene this for a while. What a change to, and I know it's been a few years now since coming from a public school, from El Capitan, which really you left a pretty good program too. So I mean, it was coming from a good program to equally as good program, but just a private school. Other than that, I mean, how has it been for you overall? I mean, it really. You can tell that you've changed and you've grown a lot since you have been at Christian High. You did some good things at El Cap, however, you were younger at the time. Do you see a lot of these changes too? And I'm sure that even your teammate next to you too has seen you grown quite a bit and mature both on the court and off the court.
Yeah, going to Christian has helped me like off the court and on the court, opposed to LCAP, because like everybody just cares for me more than they did at LCAP, like the staff and like my teammates. But LCAP definitely like did help me like become like the player I am now. They like, yeah.
And, well, that's what I'm getting at is how fortunate you were to go from one good program to another one, and you got to even experience it firsthand, because when you were playing with El Cap, you didn't have a chance to play in a pretty big game, as a matter of fact, against Christian, when Allie and yourself were both younger players, not as seasoned, and I'm sure the wheels might have even been turning at that point in time. But I just think that to be pointed out is quite fortunate that you've been able to be a part of two of the bigger programs in San Diego County and in the East County in particular. Because mentioning that, El Cap just barely they just barely fell out recently, as far as having one of the better teams that they've had in years, and over a uncontested foul, we'll just say, at the buzzer. So definitely an interesting way to end a season. But we also know that Coach Curtis is very humble. So he it is what it is, and he did say, and I will quote him because he did say, Ramon, that he was proud of his girls and probably one of the best teams he's ever coached. So even with the loss, he was happy with the season.
Yeah, and Dave, I wonder, and And look, Serene made the decision that is probably best for her. I mean, she's having great success there now and setting herself up for next year as well. But boy, you look at what El Capitan, they had a great season and, beat Mount Miguel. What can you say? They beat Mount Miguel. That was huge. I'm sure Serene was pretty excited when she heard that news for them. But imagine what might have been if at El Capitan. I don't want to get off the boat here. We're talking about the Christian High Patriots, but you take the El Capitan team now, you put Serene on it, you put a healthy Jordan Grandy, you keep Stephanie Adams off the volleyball court, put her back in the basketball court a little bit. Imagine how good that team might have been. An open division contender as well. But I think things have worked out just fine for the Lady Patriots. But really, it all comes to a head tomorrow. I mean, this is the moment that they've been playing for, and this is a big hurdle for the team, to be quite honest. And got to be some nerves, a little bit of trepidation, but again, the familiarity factor of playing Cathedral Catholic. I mentioned those other players, but they've got 4 or 5 stars on that team, just as we do. But we're going to have to play our best game. Allie, how are we going to do that tomorrow? I mean, we've had our moments, but I keep harping on it. The big game. This is the one, the stumbling block, if we will, and we're going to get it tomorrow. I know we are. I feel like we can do it. I feel like we can do it. What has Coach Vicky been saying at the end of practice in preparation for them?
Well, me and Coach Vicky had a talk, and we both said that we have a good feeling about this. We know it's our time. And after every practice, she just says, we know the game plan. We know what we're doing. We've been preparing well. We just need to come out and execute. And it's best team on game day.
And with that being said, I mean, and looking at how many times you've gone back and forth, and some would say, well, they've won more. It's actually tougher for them to win another game, another meeting. The pressure is really, in reality, on them as opposed to yourselves. Statistically speaking, I would say the pressure is actually on the Dons. And I mean, if we're playing mathematics, right, Ramon, that's more up your alley. So,
yeah, I mean,
and by the numbers,
they say the toughest thing to do is beat a team 3 times in 1 year. So I don't think that the Dons are, in the heads of our Lady Patriots. That's for sure. I just remember that semifinal game last year, and I think the ladies said it quite right. It's not an intimidating place to play at Cathedral. It's kind of spacious. It's kind of airy. Yes, the fans can be loud, but it's a beautiful venue to play basketball in, and I don't think the sound can get overwhelming at all. The backdrops are nice for shooting and things like that. I like kind of sitting up above, in those tables, looking right down on the action, really. But I just think that when they go in and play this team, I just remember last year in that game at halftime, and I really thought the Patriots came out with a lot of confidence at halftime. It just seemed to wear down a little bit towards the end, and I don't know if it's because the number of stars they had. I failed to mention, Mazatlan. She's a great player as well, and I just think that our focus needs to be the togetherness that the Christian High Patriots always show. The ball, we talk about, the 35 points a game if you put, Allie and Simone together, but the thing is, the other players that we have, they also can get on scoring roles. Kristen can get on a scoring role. When we get it to Amaya, when she gets her shot going, she can score as well. So I just think that everyone, if we get a full contribution from every player making their best effort, we're going to make a game of this, no doubt about it. If it goes down to the wire, whatever the case may be, I don't expect a blowout, Dave. That's for sure. We're going to be in this game. I'd like to see us get out to a lead.
I personally think that is going to be one of the keys that I think by the numbers, or as you like to refer to, Ramon, that the computers say. I'm going to say that the computers don't see the bench, so to speak, that the Christian Patriots have. And how hot some of these ladies can be coming off of the bench, and you know, just 2 or 3. I mean, Coco can come off and she can go off and score 12 to 16 points. I mean, it's been done. I've seen her do it. Um, there could be the same. You could get the same thing, like you mentioned, Amaya Howard. I mean, I think she's one of the unsung heroes that gets forgotten sometimes and lost in the shuffle. Um, she can be pretty dangerous, especially once she does get into the paint too. She can score the double digits quite as easily as well. And I can remember talking to Coach Carrington about that. That she's and correct me if I'm wrong, Allie. She's let Amaya shoot a lot more than she has in the past. Like if she knows that she can take a shot, that the shot's there, she'll let her take the shot. And that's something that she hadn't done in let's just say last year, for example, compared to the maturity and how much better she has become offensively this season.
Yeah, I feel like she's grown tremendously as a player, and I felt like last year she was more of an attack player, but now she developed a really good shot. So I feel like she just has more confidence in herself, and she's willing to shoot the rock more.
So that's what I was getting at, Ramon. Is I think that when we look at the statistics and like you say, the computers and stuff, that's more up your alley. But that's what I see from seeing as many games as I saw live that these ladies have played. I've got to actually see, and you kind of put everything together, and she's one of the puzzle pieces that make the Patriots what they are right now. And I think, to me, put them as a favorite because I don't really see a weakness as long as they're following the game plan. And that's another key, is if we don't follow a coach's game plan though, then that's when we get into trouble, and that can happen in the third quarter as well. So if we stick to the game plan that coach sets forth, or if she does make the adjustments, that we make sure we do so, I think that we shouldn't have any problem uh, beating the Dons and moving on.
Well, it's a matter of erasing basically, kind of a 10 to 12 point deficit against the Dons. That's how much they kind of got us by in both those first two games. Serene, what was the difference in those two games? I know I asked you to say what we're going to do different, but tell me what the difference was in the first two meetings this season. They beat us by 10 or more points in both games, but they were close games each time, right?
Yeah. One thing that we didn't adjust to is Izzy was really on, and she shot a lot of threes and made them. And we didn't adjust our defense to that. We didn't really help on her when she was open to shoot. That's something that we need to watch out for tomorrow.
Yeah, Ramon, that's something that they've actually gotten a lot better at too. Is over the years that the 3 years that I've saw them, most of them play is wow, 3 years. Is the way that you've been able to box out much better than you had in past years, and I think that the little things like that people tend to forget, and I think that is huge because of a team like Cathedral, and that is one of the teams that you do need to make sure that you are at all times.
Oh, I think it's been the difference in the games is the rebounding. I mean, Serene, you're big on the boards. I mean, if you go by per minutes, I think you're probably the best rebounder on the team statistically. Is that what we've got to do? Is keep their second chance opportunities to a minimum?
Yes, we need to box out and grab like every rebound.
And
And
Serene, with your height and your athletic ability, I mean, and the statistics again, they don't lie either. I mean, you've had your best year since you've been playing high school basketball, and not only myself, but believe me, as many times as I've talked to Coach Carrington, she speaks highly of the whole team, but she has, as of recently, spoke very highly of Serene and the way she has been rebounding and doing so well at the post. So another reason why we did choose you a couple weeks ago as athlete of the week, which we haven't mentioned yet too. Another reason why Allie, we invited you onto the show as well, is you were also chosen, and that was for this week, and probably a combination of this week and last week for your athletic ability.
Yeah. That week when she got the Max Preps Regional Player of the Week or whatever. I mean, not that our award's not great, Dave. Our award is great, but yeah, Allie's had a pretty awesome month.
Yeah. I mean, she probably should have had some of these awards last year too, but this is definitely, you got to agree with that too, Allie. It's probably been your breakout year for sure. And I mean, and then let's consider the injury too. I mean, even though you had the injury, I mean, you had a great game against Otay, and you were not exactly feeling 100%. And don't tell me you weren't hurting, because I guarantee that you probably were most of that game.
Yeah, I was, but I just came out and just tried to play my best.
Yeah, well, I want to get a quick follow-up on that because you mentioned that injury, and I don't want to dwell or harp on it at all. But 26 points in that last game, how'd you feel after that? How do you feel right now? I mean, I know if I go out there and I just shoot, 10 or 15 hoops, I'm going to be having a sore shoulder. Allie, how is that after that extraordinary effort you had against Westview?
It feels really good, and I feel like I hope it translates over to Cathedral. But also, my teammates helped me be successful in that game. They kept pushing me. They kept passing me when I was open, so I'm really grateful for them.
And Allie, is this team in good hands with players like Serene and Kristen next year? I mean, they're going to have to work hard to duplicate the success of this Patriot team over the last 2 years. They're losing you guys, 2 dynamic players and some other players as well, but you got to think like they're going to have a pretty good team still, huh?
Yeah, I think they're definitely in good hands.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree that they are. But then again, I don't want to lie either. I think they will definitely be missed by their teammates. They'll be missed by the coaching staff, the school. Hey, even the writers. Hey, I'll just come out and say they're one of my favorite teams. So I'll be missing the seniors too myself. So I think they will rebuild. I think they already have a lot of the pieces in place, and that was what I was going to ask you too. What are your thoughts on some of the JV players that you know of, Allie, that are coming up that will possibly be the next stars for the Patriots?
Well, we brought up 4 players for playoffs, and I think that them just practicing with us, they're already gonna have like a good sense of like our basketball and our style of play. And I feel like with players like Serene, Coco, and Kristen, they'll definitely take them underneath their wing and help them.
Yeah, and we want to support all those players from the university coming up. But I tell you what, Dave, Christian High is a destination for basketball players with beautiful facility like the Ryan Center and a great program, winning on both the boys and the girls side. Dave, players want to go play for Christian High, that's for sure.
Well, and I mean, it comes down to the coaches. It also comes down to, and I mean, even a good friend of mine too is David Beezer, is probably one of the better athletic directors, also, as you ladies know too, that's out there, especially in not only in the private sector, but just in the East County alone. David Beezer is well known as knowing where the talent is, and definitely taking care of his players once he brings you on into his athletic program.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Dave. Well, we got to let these girls get some sleep because they have a big day tomorrow. Big day. And I want you to take a look at that girls open division tomorrow at Cathedral Catholic, and take a look at those records and take a look at Cathedral Catholic's record. Yes, they've won 8 straight games, but you know what? These two teams have played elite schedules. We have 10 losses, all of them to very, 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 very good teams. Cathedral Catholic, also 10 losses. Their losses to extremely good teams. These two teams have played elite teams, but they have tasted defeat. We have, yes, but you know what? So have the Dons, and so obviously they are beatable, and we are going to go out and beat them tomorrow. Allie, Carreon, Serene, Weckback, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck. Allie, congratulations on a great career and your scoring achievements that you have throughout your career as well. Yeah. And we're looking forward not only to tomorrow's game, but also to the CIF championship game and the state playoffs. And boy, you know what, Dave? I was talking to him before the show, and I said, you know, I can remember when Christian High went up and played in a state title game like 30 years ago. And I think, oh gosh, I think they won like one of their playoff games on a last-second shot. To, I think, get to the championship game. I wish I should have studied that before I said it, but I just mentioned this because of the schedule, and it's not by accident. Coach Carrington plays that travel schedule. They go to Phoenix, they go to Las Vegas. This team is well equipped to handle the road, the state playoff road, because that's where we're probably going to be headed. And this team can win in the state playoffs. So, but let's worry about tomorrow night. It's Cathedral hosting our Christian High Patriots in the San Diego CIF Open Division semifinals. Allie, Carreon, Serene, Weckback, thank you so much for joining us. And Dave, thank you for getting our guest tonight, Dave.
Absolutely, and there's no doubt about it. Thanks for coming on again. And I wanted to make sure that I did tell you that too. Your shirt is also on the way, Allie, on our behalf for you for all your accomplishments. If we wish we could do even more, but just thank you, girls, for coming on. And it's been a pleasure watching, especially your career, since it's coming closer to an end. It's been a pleasure watching you play.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you so much.
Let's keep it going, ladies. All right, thanks a lot. Serene, Weckback, Allie, Carreon, Dave Dickens. I'm Ramon Scott. Thank you for joining us.